What if 65% of my generation doesn't feel financially stable, and the difference between that group and the other 35% isn't income? I'm Vienna, like the city in Austria, not the sausage. I'm 15, and my mom and I have traveled to more than 20 countries together, and I've been sitting with this statistic for a long time. 65% of Gen Z doesn't feel financially stable. And when I looked hard at what separates the 65% from the 35%, it wasn't what I expected. It wasn't how much they earned. It wasn't what jobs they had. It was one decision, made before the first dollar was spent. Stay to the end because I'm going to show you exactly what that decision looks like and why it's available right now on whatever anyone in my generation is currently earning. The economy is harder for my generation than it was for the ones before it. That's real, but 35% of us feel financially stable inside the same economy, and that gap is the most important number in this video. Financial insecurity among Gen Z jumped from 30% to 48% in a single year. That's a 60% increase. Entry-level jobs are down 29% since January 2024. 56% of us say financial worries are directly hurting our mental health. Only 44% of my generation feels prepared for the future. Those numbers are real and they matter, and here's what I keep coming back to. 35% of Gen Z doesn't feel financially stable. They exist inside the same economy, the same job market, the same housing costs, the same financial pressures. If the economy alone explained the instability, if income and job market were the whole story, the gap wouldn't exist. Everyone would feel equally unstable. The gap tells me something specific is different about how those two groups are operating. And I watched my mom operate on the stable side of that gap long before I understood why. Here's what I noticed about her, and here's why I think it's the whole explanation for the gap. She never made financial decisions in real time. She made them in advance. Before the money arrived, she automated $50 into an index fund before she ever saw the rest of her paycheck. She built the $25,000 emergency fund before she needed it. She found the first-time home buyer program before she was ready to buy. Every financial decision she made it before the moment of pressure arrived. And because she made it in advance, she never had to make it afraid. That's the difference. The 35% who feel financially stable didn't get there because life was easier. They got there because they made the decision before fear arrived, and the decisions they made created a floor. Once you have a floor, fear stops being in charge of your financial life. Most of the 65% are making every financial decisions in real time, in the moment, under pressure. And fear is the thing that's actually deciding. Here's exactly what my mom's floor looks like, and what I've already started building at 15. My mom's floor is 3 things stacked on top of each other. First, $25,000 in an emergency fund. That's 10 months of actual expenses, built slowly on $11,000 a year when she started. Not in one move, just consistently, month after month until the floor was there. Second, $50 a month automated into an S&P 500 index fund. She started that after I was born, building it while raising me. At historical averages, that becomes over $1 million by retirement. The money doesn't know the economy is hard, it just knows how long it's been running. Third, the house. This is the part I think most people miss entirely when they think about buying a home. My mom didn't buy a house just to have somewhere to live. She bought it to create an income flow. That was the requirement before she ever looked at a listing. Not the nicest neighborhood, not the best finishes, not the place she'd be proud to show people. A house that would generate income. That was the filter. And here's where her thinking was completely different from how most people approach buying their first home. Most people ask, what's the nicest house I can afford? My mom asked a different question entirely. What's the largest square footage I can get at the lowest price per square foot? Those are not the same question. Not even close. The nicest house you can afford maximizes beauty. The largest square footage at the lowest cost per square foot maximizes potential. Potential to generate income, potential to add a rental unit, potential to turn a space into something that pays you back. The house she found through the Zero Down first-time homebuyer program in Tennessee already had a basement apartment. Most buyers would have seen that as storage. My mom saw it as the income flow she was looking for. She spent $2,000 on carpet and paint. I helped pick the colors, not knowing what we were doing. And the apartment was rentable. Within 45 days of listing it, every dollar of that renovation had come back. That apartment has now generated $174,000 since our friend moved out. Housing cost effectively is zero, and $1,000 a month from that income goes into a separate index fund that at a historical average becomes over $2.5 million in 30 years. None of that required a high income. All of it required making the decision before the money arrived and asking a completely different question than the one most people ask when they walk into a home purchase. And here's why I am in all of this. Because I want to be honest about what 15 looks like inside the system. I earn about $180 a month. On odd jobs, whatever comes in, I automated $50 of it to go into an S&P 500 index fund before I ever saw the rest. Gone. Into an index fund. The same day every month, I answered that question at 14 and never had to answer it again. At historical averages, that $50 from 14 becomes about $1.1 million at 65. I don't have $25,000 in an emergency fund. I don't have a rental property. I haven't built the full floor yet, but I started the foundation. And the foundation is the part that matters most early on because it's the part that takes the longest to compound. 65% of my generation doesn't feel financially stable. I understand why. The economy is harder. The job market is harder. The housing market is harder. All of that is true. And none of it changes what happens when one decision gets made before the first dollar is spent. 35% who feel stable didn't luck into it. They made a decision earlier in advance, before the pressure arrived. That decision is available right now on $180 a month, on $600 from a part-time job, on whatever is coming in. 65% of my generation doesn't feel financially stable. 35% does. The same economy, the same pressure. The gap isn't income, it's the timing of one decision. The 35% made it before the money arrived, the 65% are still making it in real time under pressure with fear in the room. I made mine at 14 on $180 a month, and the system is running right now while I'm sitting here talking to you. So before you close this, what's one financial decision you could make right now before the next dollar arrives instead of after? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. And if this made you see something you can't unsee, share it with one person in my generation who needs to hear it. Not a group, just one person. That's how ideas like this actually spread. Subscribe to Wandering Vienna and make sure to like this video, because every week I'm going to bring you another question we didn't know we needed to ask. I'm Vienna, like the city in Austria, not the sausage. And make sure to come back because there's always more to explore. Bye!